Hello and welcome back to Equine Photo School. I'm your host, Oli Moss. This is episode 48. Now, it's not just going to be a solo episode with just me today. I'm joined by my good friends, Joe and Lisa Duty. Now, they are putting on a workshop that's coming up. They've got a couple of different versions of their workshops that they put on. They're in Texas. So, just like a little bit northwest, I would say, of Fort Worth. Awesome place to do photo workshops. I've spent tons of time there personally, not at their place, but around that area. So I'm very familiar with the area. It's an awesome place to be, especially if you love horse and rodeo stuff. So I'm gonna just cut this short real quick, but this is an awesome opportunity for anybody who wants to do horse and rodeo photography. And if you're listening to this, you probably want to do that kind of thing. So if you're listening to this podcast, you're going to love to hear all about how their workshops operate, the flow of things. There's some great little nuggets, tips and tricks. We talk about taking pictures of people and horses and doing all the things, Western sports. It's really cool. They're teamed up with NRS, National Roper Supply, and they have a couple of ranches that they go to. There's a chuck wagon involved, some great stories about the past workshops and what their upcoming workshops are going to be like. So without further ado, Lisa and Joe Duty. Welcome to the Equine Photo School podcast. So glad that you're here. I would love to, just learn a little bit about you guys and what you do, and then we'll dive right into talking about your upcoming workshop.
Cool. All right. Well, hey, we appreciate you having us. Yeah, it's amazing. Heard a lot about you forever, and so glad to be here.
Awesome. Yeah. You guys are out of Texas, right? What part of Texas are you from?
Close to Fort Worth, Texas. We actually were in Singer, which is north of Denton, Texas, kind of in the hub of the north there.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I know. We spent a lot of time running up and down I-35. So.
Oh yeah. So the thrill of the construction on 30.
Oh yeah, good times.
It can be a challenge.
Right. What all do you guys shoot? What's the whole gamut of everything that you guys do?
Okay, well, just to give you a little background, Lisa, when we met, was a virtual tour photographer, and she had her company for about 12 years, and I've been shooting as a photojournalist for a newspaper. I actually started when I was 16, but I started late in life, made a career change, and went to work full time for a newspaper, and worked there for 20 years. And through the gamut, we've shot sports and features, and just about everything that has come across as a newspaper photographer. I think that's why I loved it so much and stayed with it so long. But so Lisa is tell them a little bit, hon, about what you do.
Well, like I said, like Joe said, I started in virtual tour photography, but then after we got together, I started shooting with him. He was still at the paper at that time, and so I'd go with him to events and things like that. And then after we were together about a year, he left the newspaper. Very few newspapers actually have an on-staff photographer anymore. I don't know if people knew that, but a lot of them have gone to just having someone, what do you call it?
Freelance?
They job it out. Yeah.
Yes,
Freelancers.
it's freelance. Thank you.
Yep.
Freelance photographers for newspaper. So once we did that, and we opened a studio there in Decatur, so that people would know, hey, we're still open for business and doing portraits and we shoot a lot of events over in the Decatur area and Wise County, where he was in the newspaper business. Mm-hmm. But really the photography classes kind of started, well, do we want to go back? Sorry.
Yeah, so
I
I started teaching about 12 years ago, on a basic 101 class, and taught that again for years, the 102 and portrait and lighting, and had several students come up through the ranks. A couple of them took the classes multiple times, so they had become our helpers and teachers as well. We got together, and then so we were sitting over a glass of wine one evening, and we were thinking about taking our photo classes abroad, basically the places we wanted to go,
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of hit us that we are the destination here in Texas. I know so many people here and, kind of live the cowboy way of life with them. I'm not a cowboy by any stretch of the imagination, but I was raised by one and kind of adopted their ways, So we just kind of got together and started talking about it. And, the first one was such a huge success, and we both enjoyed it so much that we just kind of continued on with that transition.
Well, and one of the things, when he did leave the newspaper, one of the first things he did was to get a PRCA card and start shooting professional rodeo. And then within a year, I got my PRCA card as well to shoot the pro rodeos. So we've been doing that for the last few years and really have that experience in the rodeo photography. And so many people are interested in that, and being from Texas and with his contacts from working at the newspaper for so many years, he knows so many of the pro cowboys and just ranchers that live around the area. We just had all the contacts with which to get on the ranches and to really give people that Texas experience. Most of our students come from all over the country. When they come here, it's kind of like city slickers for camera people, so we take them out to the ranches and just do a full experience for them.
And the thing is about it, when you take them to places like this, you can, I tried to do an online class once, and I just, I just don't work that way. And, once you take them there, they'll say, and a lot of it is about them watching, and I very rarely shoot in class unless I'm trying to make a point because I want them to be shooting. But sometimes you have to show them, like, oh, okay, so that's why they do that, and that's why they do that. And, that, and speaking of that, the one thing that I feel like that helps us more than anything is the synergy that we create between the students. We keep it to a 12 count, and you'll have several that don't know much. The first thing you have to do, we spend the first 2 hours kind of looking at their slides and seeing where they're at and talking to them. Through that, we get to know them and the level that they're at. And so I kind of have to adjust my curriculum for a few of them, but like if we've got one that's really beginner, Megan, which is one of our big helpers, she will take her and kind of get her a little up to speed, a little more one-on-one, or him, or whoever it is. And, we kind of continue on with our class. But, we do have those, but I feel like that our students a lot of times learn as much from each other as they do us by talking and having that same passion, What do you think?
I think so. And, a lot of the people that come to the class, first of all, they want an experience. They want that Texas experience and going on the ranches and doing all the things that we do. But I think one of the things that really surprises them, and we've had several students that have said other classes that they've gone to similar to ours that do give them an experience, don't give them the education like we do. This man he's constantly learning every single day. He is watching YouTube videos on the latest, greatest things out there and just continually trains himself on what's new and upcoming. But he's been doing it for a long time too, so that he knows way back when, well, how did things work 15, 20 years ago, and what's the difference now, so that when people can ask questions about, well, how do I use this? How do I use the camera? No, we had talked a little bit with you about how a lot of people need to know how to use the camera. Sometimes when we're at class, that's one of the reasons we keep it small, so that we can not only give them that experience, but also teach them when they are on their own, how are they going to get that image, instead of us just setting their camera for them and telling them, okay, now put your settings here and do this, which we do that. We do tell them, here's your starting point
to get them
on
started.
This shoot. And then you can work from there. And then we're there to show them on location okay, now that you've taken that picture, let's look at it. What are you getting? You know, we'll roam around and we switch up. You know, Joe will look at them and then I will. And anyway,
So basically, on each shoot, we tell them what we're going to do. We go do it, then we come back and we see what we done. We talk about the safety first and foremost, being around the animals and moving, and then we tell them, you know, kind of the best positions to be in, and here's a starting point. And this is into the class after we've talked about aperture, ISO, and shutter speeds, because a lot of them are there to learn to shoot in low light and fast-moving subjects. So, you know, we tell them what the jaunt's about. We're going out here to shoot this today. You're going to be in broad daylight, so you get more light to play with aperture. Or you're going to be in the arena, and the light is really bad, and, you know, starting point here, you know. You know, and a lot of them don't bring the appropriate lenses, and they figure out what they need through this and so forth. So, anyway, that's kind of how we train them. You know, and I do tell them, take a bunch of pictures, not just of what you're shooting, but what's going on around you, how somebody's explaining something, because that will help you remember being a visual artist, you know, down the road. So I feel like that kind of helps us with that.
Yeah. That's smart. I like that. I like showing, you know, having them take pictures of things around them too, not just like this one subject that we've got set up for them. But take pictures of all of it. That's super smart. And I like that you limit it to just 12 too. You know, I think that helps you guys like be more one-on-one time with each individual. I mean, that's brilliant.
Mm-hmm. Well, we found that to be a good number. You know, it's and you know, like everybody, we learn with every class that we do. You know, teaching multiple people. You know, I started out, I think, with like 3 people in my class, and of course, it was a learning experience for both of us. They were learning the camera, and I was learning presentation. And but you know, what we try to do is give them a bit of everything on this shoot. We shoot in multiple different kind of lighting venues, and inside, outside. We shoot people. The other main question I've had when people come is, I want to learn to shoot people. How do you just walk up to people and shoot and all that? So, you know, it's pretty easy to define, and I might take a couple of them that are having a problem with that, while Lisa takes a couple of them, Megan takes a couple, you know, and I'll work with them solely on that, you know, because I want everybody to get something, you know, they're all there for a particular reason. They want something that they're taking home.
Tell me like a breakdown. You got 2 different kinds of workshops, right?
Yes, sir, that is correct. We have a 101 Texas Vision, which is basically it's the raw beginner building block, and it's constantly focused. 2/3 of it is focused on manual and building that where they can take it to wherever they want to in photography. The combination, I call it the ISO dance, you know, the combination of the 3. And so we work really hard on that, and again, putting them in positions. And again, a lot of them are there for the people, so we really stress shooting people. I will start by pairing them up with somebody that they've already met in class. And then by the end of it, we're walking the streets, say in downtown, the Exchange in Fort Worth, and we're going up to people. It's just such a great thing to see these guys going up to people. Hey, you mind if I take your picture? You know, and I'm taking a class, and you know, so and so. Anyway, so that's the biggest thing for us is to get them to open up, and that's where people want to go with it. So we teach them that. The Texas Rodeo Lifestyle Workshop is much about the experience as it is about the teaching, because a lot of these people that we have come they couldn't, you know, they really don't know that much about the horse industry or the cowboy industry, and you know, it's just not what they're used to, but that's what they want to learn. So we try to give them as much raw, in-depth experience, you know, in the true cowboy way. And I'll just give you one student's comment to kind of verify that. After, as Lisa said, after we got through with the branding and all that out at this ranch, we had the cowboys. Of course, they're all dusty now. They're the real deal, you know. You know, so we pull them inside, get some open shade, you know, add a little light here, and And so this one guy, he gets this amazing cover. One student, his name was Tim, gets this amazing shot of this guy, just in, I mean, his true sincerity coming across his face, the cowboy. And he said, you know, this, we were looking at him later, and he said, you know, this looks real. I said, because it is. That's what he does every day, you know.
It's not just a model acting like a cowboy.
Yeah, so we put them in the element to get that. I try to, you know, if I can see that they need a little push, I'll kind of push them in the direction, moving the models or whatever. But I try to let them come up with it after I've put them into that scene where, you know, it's their deal. And they're creating it. But I will kind of guide them like water, you know, if you will.
So let me go back to what the itinerary is on the big workshop, the rodeo workshop that's coming up. We've got one from May 17th through that Sunday. So it starts on Wednesday and ends on Sunday. So it's a 5-day class. And just to give you a quick rundown of it, on Wednesday, we'll come in right after lunch. We'll do a brief introduction. Well, actually, we spend about 2 hours looking at the students' photos, getting to know them a little bit. Why did they come to the class? What is it that they're wanting to get out of it? And then let them check into their hotels after that. But then after that, we're going to head right to a pro rodeo that's a little bit away from Decatur, but we'll go to a pro rodeo.
The slack.
We're going to shoot the slack. Great thing about that is we've got full access to the whole around the arena. We don't have to worry about people in the stands that we can't get that angle that we want. So we shoot the slack on the first night of the class, which is awesome. And then we come back the next morning. The next day is when we go out to one of the big ranches around town. We go out to the 9 Bar Ranch, and that's when we shoot the branding. And I mean, these students are literally within 2 feet of the cowboys that are branding the animals. We take them in with just 3 at a time into the pen where the cowboys are. So, and the guys that we're working with have done this with us before. So they know how to keep people safe. And we also have a discussion about safety before we even do it. So anyway, we take them 3 at a time. And then also people can shoot around the outside looking in. So it's a really unique, and then we shoot the cowboys after the branding where they've got that dust on the face, like we said. So that's a big day, because then after we come back, we do lunch at the ranch that after the roping or the branding. Mm-hmm. That evening, after we get back, we're going back to the rodeo. And we're shooting the first night of the performance. So then they get all of it, from the rough stock all the way through to the end. We'll shoot the full rodeo. And they'll also see the challenges of working around. You've got the crowd. Mm-hmm. You can't just get up anywhere. So you've got to get the best angle that you can with what you're allowed, and depending on what access you have.
I want them fighting for that angle.
Right. Yeah, we show them all the different kinds of angles, how to shoot lifestyle at a rodeo. There's some great little lifestyle nuggets that we can get there too. So that's the second day. On the third day is when we are in class talking about the photo story. We also talk a lot about lighting on day 3. That's the day we go out to the Cooper Ranch and we shoot the portraits. And then that evening, after we do the portraits, that's when we have a chuck wagon sunset dinner. And so they're cooking the chuck wagon, so you've got the fire and all of that fun stuff. Plus, you're dealing with the issues of going from light to dark, as Joe mentioned before. So we've got that. And last year, we had the most amazing sunset. You never know what's going to happen there, but God blessed us with an amazing sunset last year. And so we shoot through that and then have a great dinner. The next morning, we're up early again because we've got that chuck wagon there. We're going to do a sunrise breakfast. So sun's on the complete opposite direction. Mm-hmm. And the chuck wagon's set up on a hill that overlooks the ranch. And so it's a really neat breakfast too. And so that's on Saturday. On Saturday, we generally shoot around NRS. We kind of let people... we have class time, but then we also let them do some shooting on their own. What do they want to shoot? And that's when we get those questions. What have you not gotten from this class that you need? and how can we help you today to reach that for you. We also do class reviews. Every day we're going to review images. So they give us 5 images from the day before or maybe from earlier that day, and we look through them in class. And that's a really big training part of the class, is looking through the images with people. And then the last day of class, they get a treat by, we're going to shoot a gentleman who herds cattle with dogs. So we've got the cattle dogs herding and literally bringing the cattle right up to the students. I mean, literally within 5 feet of them. And that's an experience. It's really, really neat. So that's the last day of the class.
So, yeah, and then in addition to that, we go over, basic edits, the stuff that we've been using in Lightroom. It's not a editing class. It's just pointers in how to get it started and set up if you're not using it. And we send out links to all this stuff beforehand to each student where they can have it ready to go on their computer. And then I kind of go into depth on that, and then we'll have our closing stuff on Sundays, and anybody that didn't get their 30-minute session, we'll have it then. So it's pretty intense there.
One of the great things about the venue that we hold this class at, it's a place called NRS Event Center, and they constantly have something going on. Either there's a roping or a barrel race, or just there's always some sort of event with people with their trucks and trailers, and the parking lot's full, and there's people wandering around, and they've got their dogs and their kids, and it's a whole experience. Mm-hmm. So that's part of what we do during the class too, is one day or at various times throughout the day, we may just have an hour or so where, okay, let's just go out and let's shoot some lifestyle. And people are like, what is lifestyle? Well, that's exactly what you think of it, the lifestyle. Let's take some up close. And just like Joe said, they want to know, well, how do you walk up to people? That's when we grab our cameras and we will show them. Mm-hmm. We'll walk up to somebody and say, hey, do you mind if I take your picture? Or maybe we take their picture as they're walking towards us down the parking lot with their horse. We're taking their picture, and then we walk up to them and say, hey, would you mind, if we took another image of you? And it shows them, through example, how it's done.
And some people have no problem with that at all. They're a people person. You can tell right off the bat. They'll communicate with anybody. So that just comes naturally. So we'll be working on the technical side of their stuff, whereas opposed we're working with the people that don't really open up to other people very well. So, it's just kind of figuring out what people need and adjusting as you go.
And another thing that Joe's really great at is finding out what are those things that they want to know, but what's going to challenge them? Mm-hmm. How are they going to come to this class and get something that they didn't know they were going to get? If that person who is shy of walking up to people, well, he'll give them an assignment. He may give them an assignment to go walk up to somebody and take a picture. It puts them out of their comfort zone, but they learn through it.
We tell them the first thing in class as we're getting that synergy together and opening a couple hours of the class is, I tell them that along with everything that you're going to be shooting, I would like for you to think about a photo story. Because I'm always thinking in photo stories, I want to tell the story with 3 or more images, and so I invite them through the class to, as well as the assignments they're doing, to form a story, and we can talk about it if you want to. By the way, I do give each one of them a 30-minute open session to talk about one-on-one with me about anything that they want to talk, or Lisa, whoever they want to talk to about it. But I encourage that because, as you know, photo stories teach you a lot along the way, and just trying to figure out what would tell this the best opens the mind up and the creative side of the mind.
Before we jump off of this, shooting people, what's your number one tip for shooting people?
Number one tip for shooting people is confidence. Confidence in your abilities. Confidence in the area that you're shooting. And I say confidence in all areas, but if you know the subject, that's hugely important. If you know horses, if you know cowboys, so forth, you know your equipment, you're not fumbling around with it, where you can interact and stay hooked with your subject, and not focus on the camera. That's huge, obviously. I feel like that's probably the two number one things. And, what can they tell you? Get out of here, or, just don't be afraid. Just go into it with your eyes open.
Yeah. Yeah, I find that most people are more than willing to sit there for a second and let you take their picture. But if you end up fumbling with your gear for a minute or two, you're going to lose them, and they got stuff to do. They got lives. So they'll walk away from you. But that's the worst that's going to happen. Maybe you don't get a shot, but hey, you went out there and you gave it your try, and you'll be a little bit more confident for the next guy.
That's right. Or if, when you see, sometimes the moment happens and you just got to pull up the camera and shoot it, and you hope your settings are already there. Mm-hmm. But that being said, that's one of the things that we talk to them about too, is let's say you're going from inside to outside. First thing you want to do as you're starting to move from inside to outside is look at your settings, get the settings right. As you're moving, you're making those changes so that when you do get outside, you've got that, so that if you need a quick shot, then you're ready.
And I'd like to talk a little about that if we got just a second on that, Ollie.
Yeah, go right ahead.
All right, so the first thing, when we set up, we treat everybody like beginners that come in there. And, some of them are well prepared, but I have them shoot everything the first day on manual. Okay, we talk about it the first day. We build the building block because my goal is to take them to aperture priority, let the camera do the work for them in certain situations. But I've got to teach them where and when and what's happening. There's so many variables. And so we shoot the whole first day on manual. We look at it, and we go inside, we go outside, and go ahead.
That's with the Photo 101 class, right?
Right, but as well as that, we also, on the first day, we shoot manual on the Western Lifestyle class as well, because I need to know where everybody's at. I need to know what they're turning in. I need to know, what process that I need to change to help them get that one thing, or multiple things that they're looking for.
Perfect. Yeah, I love that. It's being tailored to each individual student, and not just like a blanket approach, like this is what we're going to do, and now if you're left behind, you're left behind. This way everybody's caught up and they're on the same page, and you bring everybody up to speed and then move forward. That's a good way to go about it. I like it.
Yes, sir.
Exactly.
Yes, sir. Mm-hmm. Well, we do have, we've got all kind of students that come, and, and we welcome all, I don't know, it's just, I enjoy getting to know people and all different cultures and lives. And but we'll have people that come, they've been to other workshops, and some of them are expecting us to set the shot up for them, which we do not do. We teach them how to do it. That's the number one thing that I feel like that we kind of do different than a lot of the classes. Not to say that that's wrong, because, hey, it works. But some of them, don't. But like I say, we're open to all mindsets, and we can work with just about anybody.
When we say we don't set up the shot for them, we may not set up that exact shot, but we're working through it. After the Cowboys are finished with the branding and all of that, then we take them, the Cowboys, we go back into the stable and we set up the shots. But we let each person, each student, set their own shot. It looks like, okay, it's your turn to come up and pose the person the way you think. How do you see it? Because we want them to learn through that process, and I guess that's a big difference between ours and maybe other people, is that we have like that a learning aspect to our classes. It's not just about getting the magazine photo that has the lighting that is exactly where you would have it if you were shooting a magazine feature and this and that. Some of it, yes, but a lot more of it is about having the real experience. We're taking you out on the ranch with these people doing their actual daily job.
Do you bring lights out there, or is this all natural light?
Oh, we do bring lights, yes, sir. So we have one session where we have a set of Cowboys. Like this last year, we had some amazing people. Just to give you a bit of the backstory, we have a chuck wagon dinner and breakfast. Since they're there, we shoot a chuck wagon sunset, teaching them how to go into darkness, start at the light, and then go into the darkness, shoot through it. Next morning, it's obviously reversed, and shooting the sunrise. Then we get to eat, which is always my favorite part. But anyway, we have one day there that we actually set up lights in the arena and let them test out the lights, and we'll do simple basic lighting, like a 2-light setup across 45, and if there's anybody that's a little more knowledgeable, I may work with them a little different with a different set of lights over here. But there won't be that many, 1 or 2 maybe. We also go out we have Clint Cooper. The Cooper Ranch is, right near us, and it's probably 2 miles from where we're holding this. Clint Cooper's a good friend of mine. He's several times been to the NFR, but he's been modeling since he was about 8 years old. So year before last, him and his whole family were set up out there, and the kids have been modeling since they could crawl. And so we just put them in the situations, and then I have each photographer go through it and, set them up and pose them. And then we go and do a little action in the arena with them. But for that jaunt, we take lights in the big octagon for group portraits and stuff like that.
We also encourage people to bring an off-camera flash, or if they've got a speed light, then that's fabulous, because we use those quite a bit too, especially on the lifestyle photos and things when we're walking around, and so we can teach them how to use it too if they haven't used it before and want to bring it to the class. It's a great opportunity for them to learn to use that as well.
When you talked about that student that was like, this is real, this is real. I think it made me think of my client that I have here in Arizona, and she's like more of a doctor. She's from New Jersey, and she married a team roper and a rancher. So she kind of feels like she's in it, but she'll say things like, "Oh, I love your outfit," I'm like, listen, this isn't like some costume this guy put on. This is what he wears every day. This is his real life.
Yeah. That's funny that they find it. Of course, it's all kind of cultures, and we went to Belize for basically our honeymoon, and the different cultures in life. I just love shooting that stuff. I think we shot about 60,000 images while we were gone in 12 days, just street walking and stuff. Yeah. But the different cultures, I think if I switch it around, I kind of understand where they're coming from, But
So yeah, this is a book that we do. This was 2 years ago, the class. We have a contest. And here's one of the fun images. Did you ever watch Yellowstone?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
Anyway, at the class, we create a book with the students' images. So they we give them a couple weeks after the class to send us their favorite images. And we create a hard copy book and send it to every student. And so it really is a great, just a memoir of their time here, and something that, they could say, hey, I'm published, and put it on their coffee table. It's like, oh, where'd you get that? Oh, well, it was at this class, and here are my pictures, so they really like that.
Well, and along with that, so for the cover, we do what they call Top Shot. This one was 2 years ago, but and they really don't know this coming into class, but we have a custom-made belt buckle that says 2020. I'll send you a link, but it says 2020 Texas Vision on it, Top Shot, whatever year it was. And both the times the guys that have won it were probably not ever going to wear it again, but it's kind of funny they kind of got that honor and everything. But anyway, just a little added something to get interest and stuff in it.
And the top shot's voted on by the students.
It is, yes.
So whoever gets the top shot had some of the most votes from the students. So that's a pretty cool thing to do, and a challenge that they get during the class, you know.
Oh yeah, like the book is like the cherry on top, and that is the
Yeah,
cherry on top of the cherry on top. Like
exactly.
that's
Yes.
incredible. I love it.
Right. Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, man, you guys
So,
have really thought out all the detail. I mean, it shows. It shows you've been doing this for so long, and it shows that you really care about the students and their outcome. And it shows that you're not just putting on a workshop just to make a quick buck. I mean, you are really teaching some people some real skills that they can use forever. I mean, you'll never be able to take that away from them because they learned how to do it, and they went in like, oh, I kind of want to shoot some cowboy stuff, and now they go out and they're like, I shoot cowboy stuff, right?
right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I will tell you, this would not be possible without this woman. She is on logistics and getting stuff facilitating. She is amazing. We had, I think, just a brief thing to tell you her abilities. We had a thing last year, and we thought it was going to crater the whole class. Everything was set up. Well, our chuck wagon guy was coming back from a competition. We talked to him the day before he was supposed to be coming. Everything's fine. We're planning the meals, we're planning the meetings, and all that. And calls me the next morning. I got some real bad news. I'm in the hospital. My neck did something to his neck. He can't make it. And of course, what can I say? I was like, oh man, hey, don't worry about it. Just take care of yourself. Mm-hmm. And so our class is half built around this, so we're thinking, what do we do now? And so Lisa gets on the phone, starts calling people. Well, as it comes out, there was a church, it's the Cowboy church right down the road from the NRS Ranch and Event Center. Mm-hmm. They both work together a lot, but she got a hold of them, and that day on short notice, they go and they had a chuck wagon team. So they go get their chuck wagon, bring it out. The guys were 1890 reenactment dressers as well, so we used them for models. So it was just God's way of showing us, well, maybe you need to use it this way,
And I have to give kudos too to NRS, because we reached out to them and said, hey, do you guys know of anybody that, because you don't just look up chuck wagon cooks in the yellow pages. That's not something that's really, you might be able to find one, but it's not as easy as it may seem to get something like that pulled off within 24 to 48 hours. So, and that day, it was the chuck wagon dinner was on the first day of the class because of the way the rodeo schedules worked out when we were shooting the rodeo. We literally had to have it within less than 48 hours after we got the call that the guy couldn't make it. So,
that's incredible.
Yeah.
Anyway, you wouldn't have, they said, we actually told them about it at the end of the class because everybody was really happy. And they said, well, we'd have never known it if you hadn't told us. So, you kind of struggle with, do you talk about the mistakes or do you not? But so we try to be as transparent as possible with them. That way, if we did have some glitches, or whatever, then they understand, that, hey, we're not perfect either, So we're still learning as well. So.
Yeah, that sounds like quite the experience. I think anybody listening to this, you might not know what yellow pages are, some of the young kids here listening, but the rest of, I think this would be awesome for everybody listening. If you're in Equine Photo School, you're here to learn about horse and rodeo photography, and this is a great place to go and listen and learn and experiences and the whole gamut of things that, if you want to take pictures of horse and rodeo stuff, cowboys, the whole thing, this 5 days with you guys sounds like an awesome investment.
Well,
Thank
thanks,
you.
Ollie. I value that a lot coming from you and given your work level and your experience. And I've admired your work for a long time. And once I, got into the industry and heard about you, they said you're number one. And looking at your stuff, you have been number one. And I appreciate the fact that you're having us here.
Yeah, you bet.
So the 101 class too, we do call that Photo 101 Texas style because we hosted at the same ranch, NRS Event Ranch. Mm-hmm. And so all those lifestyle experiences and the rodeos that are going on, we shoot through that during the Photo 101 too. So it gives them kind of a smaller dose of that experience that you may get at the big class.
And speaking about that, I'd like to give a huge shout out to Sonny and Kinsey at NRS. They call us that very first morning, day before, ask us what we need, and whatever we need, we ask them, and they provide it. You know, Jason Terrell with the Diamond Stock Dogs, you know, he's become a huge friend, and everybody that we've had through this class is just, you know, the church,
Nine Bar Ranch,
Jim Bob Little and his wife Christy, amazing people, and we've just made so many great relationships through this. I can't imagine life without doing it. You know, it's just great.
Yeah, and without those relationships and those people that also want to help the photographers, you know, I mean, if they didn't want to help, like, they could really make it hard for you guys to do your job
They
too,
could.
and it could be, you know, a bad experience just because, like, you know, they didn't want to have anything to do, or, you know, they're out there trying to block the shot instead of help, you know, make sure that the angle's right and the sun's right, and like it's a little, you know, it's on them too, and I'm sure having the workshop there is a little bit of an encumbrance for them, but man, it sounds like they're more than willing to make that sacrifice and make sure that, you know, they help all they can too. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
It takes a village, and luckily we've got a good village around us. Like Joe said in the beginning, we are the destination. Instead of going somewhere that we don't know, let's focus on where we are.
Well, and I will say one thing. One of the best. I remember this from a student, and you know, we ask at the end them to fill out surveys, let us know what we could do better, and you know, what did you take away from the class, and if you would like to share. Well, he happened to want to share out publicly, and he said, well, I've been doing this for 20 years, and you could tell he was experienced. And this is the 101 class, and he says, you just don't know what you don't know. And you know, it's kind of stuck with me, and because I do a lot of different things, and it's like, you know, same with us. We didn't know what we didn't know about putting these on. So, you know, it's kind of a learning experience for us, and I enjoy the learning, so it's a good deal.
Yeah. Yeah, and when you enjoy learning, you know, you can apply that to your teaching too. You know, well, that's how I feel too. It's like I love to learn about this stuff and love to do that, and so I try to think about, you know, the way, switch it around. Like, now I'm a teacher, but how would I want to learn this stuff if I was a student, right? So I try to teach that, and it sounds like you guys are doing something similar too, where you're like, well, man, I learned all this stuff, and now flip it around, but teach it in a way that it makes a lot of sense to the student.
And every class is different. It's, you know, because you have different skill levels and different synergies within the class, and so it makes it exciting. It makes it a lot of fun to just see what's the next one going to be.
And challenging.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like a lot of fun. Tell people where they can find this. What's your website address, your socials? Let's spill it all so everybody can find you really easy.
Well, the great thing is with the classes, you can go to texasphotographyworkshops.com, and all our classes are listed there. The rodeo workshop as well as the photo 101 are the first two classes that you'll see when you go to the home page. And you can also drill down on each of those classes to a whole page about that class that'll give you the full, more of an itinerary and a lot more detail about it. There's also links where you can click to purchase, you know, to sign up for the class. Both of those classes allow you to put down a 20% deposit and then pay 80% within 30 days of the class. So if you want to, you know, do it that route, then you can do that. And then also for a lot of other images to see examples of our work, you can go to joeduty.com, Joe, D as in David, UTY, like heavy duty.com, to see a lot of examples of our work. And on that page, you can go to buy event photos. If you want to see a bunch of photos from our rodeos, go to joeduty.com, go to buy photos, and go to our events photos page. And that'll, you know, you can just click on any event and see all the different types of stuff that we do there.
We're on Instagram at Joe Duty Photos. We're on Facebook at Texas Vision Photography. Texas Vision, photography.
Do you have specific socials for just your workshops, or are those included in those socials?
The Texas Vision would
Vision
be more
is more
related
specific,
to that.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Texas Vision is our LLC that kind of encompasses all of our, you know, virtual tour business, our portrait business, our event photos, And so Texas Vision would be the social that would have a little bit of all that, as well as when we have the classes, that's where we post more things about that. But since Joe Duty is the instructor, he has a lot of information on joeduty.com, as well as the social media, Instagram and Facebooks.
Perfect. I love it. I will make sure that I put all of those links down below. And if you guys think of any more links that you want added in the comments or whatever, just text them over to me and I'll get those posted so everybody has just a clickable link that's super easy. But if you're listening going down the road or whatever, you got those links as well. So anyway, glad to have you guys. Is there any closing remarks, anything else you'd like to say before we sign off?
I just like to say I really appreciate you being there and doing what you do. I've looked at your classes online, and you are methodical.
We've taken some of them too.
We've taken some of them.
So
yes.
thank you.
Yes,
we've learned from you as well.
We appreciate
it.
you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks. I think the feeling's mutual. Appreciate you guys. Thanks for being here. Thanks for teaching people in real life, and I'll continue to teach them online, and we'll work together to make it happen for everybody in all the different ways they learn.
Okay, Ollie.
Thank you, sir.
so much.
Appreciate your time.
Thank you. Catch you
All
later.
right.